So, have you ever looked at your life and thought, I genuinely thought I'd be further ahead by now? Maybe it was your career, maybe you thought you'd be married, maybe you thought you'd have children, own a home, have more money, feel more confident, or maybe just feel more certain about who you are as a person. And then you reach a certain age and you realize, I still have questions, right? I'm still figuring things out. And that is what I want to talk about today. So, welcome back to Blaque Noire, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Tanya, and this is a space where we talk about healing, growth, rebuilding your life in a real and honest, and more importantly, unfiltered way. And before actually I get into this conversation, I want to tell you about the launch of the Blaque Noire Edit. The Blaque Noire Edit is my weekly letter for Black women navigating all the parts of life that basically we don't say out loud, right? So that's reinvention, confidence, burnout, loneliness, identity, relationships, starting again, and the pressure of not being where we think we should be. So the Blaque Noire Edit will land in your inbox every single Sunday. And also, the majority of these episodes, not all of them, but the majority of these episodes will also link to the topic of that issue for the week, if that makes sense, right? So if that, if that sounds like your kind of conversation, right, I have put the sign up link in the description, and you can have each issue of the Blaque Noire Edit sent directly to your inbox. Now, as always, I've got myself my tea. Go and grab yourself a drink, and let's get into the episode and really talk about this idea that by a certain age we're supposed to have arrived, if you will, and have it all figured out. Okay, so I think so many of us carry this invisible timeline, okay, without even really realizing it, and we get it from, could be school, family, friends, social media, the women around us, the idea that by this certain age, you should already have your career, by this age, you should be earning a certain amount of money, you should have met and settled down with someone, you should have children, you should own a property, you should be completely and totally emotionally healed, okay? You should be confident. And the thing that I want to highlight in all of this is that word should, okay? A real difficult thing I feel to accept is when our life doesn't match that picture. And the crazy thing about that is that we don't tend to question the picture. Instead, we question like ourselves, right? We're thinking like, what did we do wrong? Why am I behind? Why has it worked out for absolutely everybody else but me? Okay. But what I've realized, the real question to actually ask is, has it actually worked out for everybody else, or is that just what we think? Or are we comparing our own internal sense of uncertainty with the small parts of the lives of others that we see around us, or God forbid what we see on social media, right? Now, as always, there is another layer to this, right? Especially when you're a Black woman, right? A lot of us have spent years, being capable, being the one who manages everything, ensuring that we're being emotionally available to absolutely everybody else, right? We're also out here, we're trying to build careers, right, in spaces where we constantly have to prove our competence, okay, before we're even allowed to simply just be competent, right? We're the ones who adapt. We're the ones who, we walk into a room, we scan it, we read it quickly and work out which version of ourselves we need to switch into, okay, to make our acceptance in that room, or more importantly, our survival in the room, the easiest and oftentimes the safest, right? Some of us, and I can definitely raise my hand here to this, okay? Some of us can say that we have been what I like to call code switching for years, and it's now just become like second nature to us. We often don't even consciously realize that we're even doing it, right? So it's no surprise that by the time we get to our late 30s, our 40s, or 50s, quite frankly, we're tired, right? Or we feel uncertain, or we're ready to make this change. We want to completely switch up like our direction. And when we do finally decide to make a change and start again or reinvent ourselves, we see and also treat this reinvention as like a personal failure instead of asking, what has it cost us, or what will it continue to cost us if we keep living as or keep performing as this old version of ourselves, right? Now, I can speak for myself here. Okay, I recently turned 41, and there are several parts of my life that I thought would look very different by now. I'll be completely honest. There are things that I wanted to have done by now. There are things that I wanted to achieve by now. There are still things that I want. There are moments when, I'll be honest, I compare myself and parts of my life to others, and there are moments, which happens to me a lot, where I think about time, or more specifically, the feeling that I am running out of time, right? But what I will say is, I'm also at a point now where I'm asking myself a different question. Instead of constantly asking, why am I not there yet? Or why don't I have this? Or why don't I have that? I'm now asking myself, what do I actually want? Okay, what is truly going to make me happy? Because the version of me who created this original timeline out of somewhere, right, didn't know everything that I know now. Okay, that version of me, she hasn't lived through everything that I've lived through, okay? She didn't know what would matter to me at the age of 41, okay? So maybe I owe that woman, that I am now the chance to be able to make a new plan, right? So I think it's basically time to shift your perspective, okay? So if you're feeling behind, I want you to try something. And this is something that I genuinely did myself and actually found it very useful. Is basically write down a list, okay? Write down a full list, doesn't matter how big or how small it is, of everything that I thought I should have done and achieved by now, okay? Then ask myself these three questions. And I recommend that you do this too, okay? First, do I genuinely still want these things? Okay. Two, who told me that I should have these things by now? And then three, if I stopped beating myself up for not having these things, would I still want them? And if not, what would I choose instead? And that last question, I believe, matters the most, because this shame and this constant comparison of not being where we think we should be keeps us looking in this rearview mirror, right? It keeps us looking behind us. It keeps us from switching up and creating a new plan or being able to reinvent ourselves, okay? But it is that reinvention that forces us to look forwards, not with like fake positivity that everything's going to be great, not by pretending that disappointment doesn't exist. Because, I mean, to be honest, you can, and it's perfectly okay to grieve the life that you thought you would have had, but still decide to build a new life that actually fits you and what it is that you want now. Okay? Anyways, this has been a little bit of a longer episode than normal. If this conversation felt familiar to you or you're experiencing something very similar, I do suggest that you take some time and ask yourself those three questions that I mentioned earlier and really, really sit in it and really take the time. And more importantly, be 100% honest with yourself. Anyway, the first issue of the Blaque Noire edit goes deeper into this exact topic, okay? I'll pop the sign up link in the description. Once you've signed up, a new issue of the Blaque Noire edit will land in your inbox every single Sunday evening. I also wanted to remind you that actually, if you are, this conversation resonated with you, and if you're looking for a more private space to have these types of conversations with other Black women, with other women just like you, I've also created the Blaque Noire Sisterhood, which is our private Facebook community where we talk about absolutely anything and everything. 100% real, completely honest, no holds barred, right? I've also put the link to this group in the comments as well, and in the description, sorry. And what I would actually really love to know from you is hear from you in the comments, right? Did you think your life would look different by now? Has your definition of what you see as being a good life changed now from when you were like 10 years younger. Also, don't forget, follow us on Instagram. I will also drop the handle in the description as well. And last but not least, thank you for spending time with me. Don't forget to like the episode and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.